Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into the technicals of one stock, LAES, and trust me, its chart is telling one heck of a story.
So let's get right to the big question, the mystery that got this stock on our radar. How in the world does a stock jump 60% in just 3 months, right after taking a massive nosedive? I mean, this isn't just a gentle climb, it's a full-on comeback story. And today, we're going to unpack exactly how analysts make sense of these kinds of wild moves. Yeah, look at that number. Almost 60% in just a single quarter. That's the kind of thing that makes every trader out there sit up and pay attention. It's a huge flashing sign that says, hey, something big is happening here. Something volatile for sure, but maybe, just maybe, very profitable. And here's the roller coaster ride itself. You can see it clear as day. It's kind of just cruising along in mid-July, then bam, it falls off a cliff in late August. But then, just when you think it's over, it absolutely rockets up to a peak in October. It's that classic, dramatic V-shaped recovery that makes this chart so compelling. All right, Section 1. Let's really get into the weeds of this stock's wild ride. The big question is, what was behind it all? Because moves this big don't just happen by accident. There are always powerful forces at play, and the trick is knowing how to spot them. Okay, now this is where things get really juicy. Just look at the trading volume on those specific days. We're talking over 100 million shares traded. Twice. That's not just background chatter, folks. That's the market screaming at the top of its lungs. It tells you these price swings weren't just random blips. They were major events backed by a massive amount of conviction from traders. So you see all this chaos, all this noise, and you have to wonder, how do analysts possibly make sense of it all? Well, they don't just guess. They have a specific toolkit, a set of instruments designed to find the real story hiding in the chart. And right now, we're going to open up that toolbox. Okay, Section 2. We're going to start decoding that strong uptrend. The first tool we're pulling out is all about one thing, finding the real direction of travel underneath all that day-to-day noise. And for that, we use something called a moving average. Now, what is that? Well, think of it like this. If you're flying in a plane and you look down at the coast, you don't see every single wave crashing, right? You just see the general shape of the shoreline. That's exactly what a moving average does. It smooths out all the little jagged price moves so you can see the bigger trend. And wow, check this out. This table really shows you how powerful that tool is. The current price is floating way above all the key moving averages. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the short term, medium term, or long term. They're all in agreement. And what are they saying? They're all pointing straight up. For a trader, that is the definition of a bullish signal. It's a green light across the board. All right, Section 3. So we know the direction is up. That's step 1. But the next big question is, how strong is that up? Is this thing just kind of drifting higher, or is there some serious rocket fuel behind this move? Well, the analysis is pretty clear on this one. It's not just a positive trend, it's exceptionally strong. This isn't a gentle breeze pushing the stock along, it's a full-blown gale force wind at its back. Let's look at how we know that. And this number right here, this is the proof. It's the ADX score. You can think of it like a strengthometer for a trend. Now, a reading over 25, that's considered strong. This stock, it's clocking in at nearly 51. That is insanely high. We're talking about a trend with some serious muscle behind it. And it's not just the ADX screaming strong. Other key momentum indicators are all singing the same tune. You've got the RSI, which tells us there's a ton of buying pressure, but it's not quite at that, it's overbought danger level yet. Then the MACD is positive, which basically backs up the story that this bullish momentum is still going strong. Everything is pointing in the same direction. Okay, Section 4. Now, this all sounds great, right? Strong trend, strong momentum, but here's the catch. Anything that goes up this fast can come down just as fast. So now we have to talk about the flip side, volatility, risk, and what could happen next. And this right here, the ATR, or average true range, is our volatility gauge. It's telling us that this stock has a habit of making some pretty big swings every single day. We're talking over 60 cents. That's a clear signal. This is a high volatility stock. So you got to be cautious. So what does that ATR number actually mean for a trader? It means that on any given day, the price could easily swing from around $4.80 all the way up to over $6. That is a massive potential range of over $1. It spells opportunity for sure, but it also screams risk. So when you boil it all down, you're left with these two distinct paths forward. Think of it like a battle line drawn in the sand. You've got the bullish scenario, where the price stays above that key support level at $4.59 and keeps pushing higher. But then you have the bearish scenario, where it breaks below that line and things could get ugly pretty fast. It's a classic tug of war between the bulls and the bears.
All right, last section. Let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. The trend, the momentum, the risk, and see what the final verdict is.
So here's the bottom line. The conclusion is kind of a good news, bad news situation. The good news? The stock is in a monster uptrend with incredible momentum. All the indicators are flashing green. The bad news? That high volatility is a real wild card. And there are already signs of people taking profits off the table, which means you absolutely can't get complacent here.
And in the end, it all comes down to watching three critical price levels. Think of them as your signposts. First, you've got your floor, that critical support around 459. If we break that, that's a huge red flag for the bulls. Then, there's the first hurdle to clear, the resistance at 551. And finally, the big prize, the ultimate target for the bulls, is that recent peak of 651. Where the stock goes next depends entirely on how it behaves around these three numbers.
So that leaves us with one final crucial question. The analysis has laid out the battlefield perfectly. We've got a stock that looks incredibly bullish, but with some very real, very clear risks. So the question is, what happens next? Which key level gets tested first? It's a nail-biter for sure.